Hello and welcome back to On the House. Today I'm joined by Jack Gaisford. Jack ran a video production agency called Odyssey for almost 8 years. He's built a team of 33 freelancers, helped over 300 clients, produced over 3,000 videos. He's got all of the reps in, and now he runs the Content Club, which is a awesome video community for small businesses. And I say awesome because I'm part of it, and it is awesome. And so today we're just going to chat about Jack's content journey, all things content, and why the Content Club is so awesome. So yeah, let's jump in. So welcome, Jack. How you doing,
Hello.
mate?
All good, my man. Thank you for having me. Looking forward to this.
Yeah, good stuff. Great to have you here. So before we start talking about content, you're right to just talk through kind of your journey at Odyssey, what that was like, and then how you ended up starting the Content Club.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I started Odyssey. Well, I started. It was V21 initially. That was the name. A super inventive name. I was 21 when I started it, and it stands for video. So V21. We absolute legend. And I did that for just shy of 8 years. So you did your research, which is great. Yeah, just shy of 8 years. I shut that down at the start of last year. Um, and loved it, man. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Up until we started to focus on growth and growth and growth and growth and growth. And for me, the pinnacle point was I ended up building a business that I wasn't massively passionate about. It became a job, which is great. It paid the bills. We did all right, which is cool. Um, but there's so many in your 20s. It's such a pinnacle point for me in my career because I had to learn things very, very, very quickly. I learned at a very young age that often your employees are not your friends. They don't, they respect you as a boss, but maybe they don't like you as a person or whatever it is, right? You're gonna have differences. And for me, it was difficult because I like to please people all the time. So I like to be friends with everyone and make sure everyone's on the same level. And this person had their great birthday and, trying to lift the spirits up a bit. But I think in that, it then removes it from a work environment. So for me, I ended up building a team. We got to 10 full time. I think that was the peak, or maybe it was nine. I can't remember. I'm just going to say 10 because it sounds sexier. And at that point, it just became super stressful. The industry alone was becoming more commoditized. The demand was not growing with the supply growth as well. So it was then an industry that was competing on price. I think the conversations started around AI and AI editing and AI chatbots and all this stuff. And I just thought the industry's dead. The industry is dead. So I took a pretty rash decision backed by an idea that I've been sitting on for about 3 or 4 years, which was through consulting and doing training and coaching through Odyssey at the time, as well as a little side hustle kind of gig. Sat the team, which was rough. But it's business, they're all adults, they can make their own decisions. And I launched the Content Club, which essentially teaches smaller business owners who are currently feeling a little bit isolated or struggling to create videos that actually get their business results, because it's such an important angle to create videos. It's one of the most powerful marketing tools, if not the most powerful marketing tool that you can have for your business. And I trained them on essentially what I did for, I think, 300-400 different brands all over the world. We worked with brands like Microsoft. We did campaigns for Xbox. We did pretty big stuff. The Scouts here in the UK, huge brand. We worked with some of the big dogs, which was great. And it's now using what we learnt for them and what worked for them and teaching the smaller guys and the underdogs, as I call us, how to do that for themselves. So they kind of remove the cost of agencies, they remove the friction of freelancers, and they can have everything very reactive, very efficient, and very cost effective in house. So that's essentially what the club's about, man. But it's a year tomorrow in business. So
Wow.
1st of October. Yeah, it's going to be cool. I know that'll date this video slightly, this podcast, sorry, but yeah, a year tomorrow. It's gone so quick.
Well, this week is full of big things for you, isn't it? So getting married on Friday, I'll just drop that in there. Your
I
birth,
am.
the Content Club. So that's great. And just a couple of follow-up questions to what you said then. Um, so you mentioned obviously working with like Microsoft and making videos for them. How is that different to helping like small business owners create content? Because obviously their audience might be different, or they might be targeting smaller businesses, or is it not that much different at all?
I think it's very different. I think so. Bigger brands are they already have legacy and what I call reputation equity behind them. People know who they are, they're household names. You wouldn't bat an eyelid, right? Because they're there all the time. They're very familiar. Smaller businesses lack the familiarity of their brand or their business. Often it's them, often a very small pool of people know them. Their marketing is very different. It is intrinsically focused on lead generation and cash. Cash is king. It is the lifeblood of the business. If they don't have cash, they can't survive past the next 3 months because they've only got 3 months cash in the bank. Big brands are very different. They aren't so much focused on lead gen and getting new customers. It's more on brand familiarity and just being known all of the time. So it's less pressure, I would say, from a cash flow perspective, i.e. this video needs to generate us leads, and it's more focused on impressions, views, engagement, reach, new followers, building channels up, building brand presence. There is still in some degrees, we did a lot of like digital marketing, we did a lot of stuff like D2C, we did a lot of stuff with FMCG, which is fast moving consumer goods brands, a lot of food, beverage, that sort of stuff. There is still a point there where they're trying to generate leads, but they value brand over money, I guess you could say. They're kind of set on that side of things to a degree, right? So it's trying to use what we did for brands from a brand legacy perspective and a reputation perspective and bringing it to how I've built my businesses as a small business, which is focused on lead generation, getting cash in the bank, and kind of finding the middle ground of where's the sweet spot with things. You have to have an idea of brand, but you also have to be very aware of if you focus too much on brand as a small business, you're not going to get leads. So it's kind of balancing the both. That's essentially what I help to, I say teach very loosely because we are almost 100 people. Everyone's learning from each other. It speeds the process up. You can get feedback, all the rest of it. I'm sure we'll dive into that soon. But we learn through doing the thing, as opposed to paying thousands of pounds for a course that you kind of will try and get around to completing. We learn through doing the thing that we want to improve at. Like driving a car, you only really learn to drive when you take rail plates off and you haven't got an instructor with you and you realize that, okay, my car's this big and this road is too small and I can't fit down it. I've just scratched the whole side of my car. You wouldn't go down that road again. It's the same thing. You just learn through doing videos, through making different offers, perfecting your sales, crafting funnels, and all the rest of it. So that's what we do.
Yeah, that's interesting. And one of the big things that stood out to me about you is dog food as well. Like, and you've just mentioned like bridging like brand with kind of the more like lead generation side, because if you look at your LinkedIn content, you can tell almost within click like the first few seconds, even if you don't see your face, like the background, but like that it's your video. But even when it comes to you, like your character, your personality, like comes through the color, like all of that stuff, it's all kind of like there. But then how I found out about you was I was already bought into content. I'd watched your video. I was like, this guy makes amazing videos. And it was just like it was an easy DM. Like I think we exchanged a couple of a couple of conversations. I was like, nah, I need to message this guy. I need to join this community. This guy makes awesome videos. So yeah,
Oh,
it's
cheers,
like
man.
interesting that you've like merged those two together.
Mm.
But why, what when it comes to like video, and you mentioned about how video is so powerful, why is it so powerful, compared to say other types of content?
Um, Little saying that I like to say is if a picture says 1,000 words, then what does a video do? If a video's got 30 images in a second or so, the power of it is immense. I think with video, you can really elicit that very natural, very raw personality, vibe, energy, whatever you want to call it, right? I think images, written word can to a degree, but I think until you physically see someone and you see their mannerisms and their passion for what they believe in, or the ways that they add emphasis to certain words, the way that they deliver their content, I don't think there's any other format that is as powerful as that. I think you can build movements through video. You see the real person, what's and all, and I think that is scary for a lot of people because they don't want to be judged, they don't want to be criticized on video, they're scared that people will make fun of their hair or the way that they look. The thing that I say to people is, well, do you judge other people when you watch them? And most of the time people say, well, no, I don't even think about it. It's the same thing on the flip side. People aren't judging you. They are listening to the words that you say and the energy that you bring to the table. If you show up flat and you say the wrong stuff, it's not going to be good. But you have the control here. You can film, you can retake, you can edit, you can cut stuff out. You can only post it when you feel like it's absolutely spot on. I think a lot of people just feel this pressure as soon as they film. That's what's going to go out into the world, but it's not like that at all. You have full control. So I think for me, video is an incredibly scientific yet artistic, subjective, personality focused format of marketing. And I don't think, even if you have the same idea, you do the same thing that's been done 1,000 times before, but through video, because you inject your own way of doing it, it feels fresh. So it feels new. I think with written content or design, there's only so many ways you can skin a cat. I'm not a copywriter, so I've probably just completely really wound up all the designers and copywriters out there. I'm sure there's lots of different ways you can do it. But for me, I just find video is it's expressionate as opposed to more static forms of marketing. And I think people click with it more, What would you rather do? Would you rather watch a 2 to 3 minute video summarizing a newsletter, or would you rather read a 1,000-page article? I know what I would rather do.
Yeah, I've seen this firsthand as well. Like I know video editors. Like one of my friends is on Instagram, and he will just make a video look amazing. And
Mm.
his clients that he makes it for are like, "This is amazing. This is fire." Da 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 da. He's had no involvement in the scripting whatsoever. He's just made the video, and it's like it's got this like emotional. It's got this emotional power that copywriting can do, but just not to the same. I don't think it
Yeah,
can do it to the same level. But
I agree. I
yeah.
agree. It's why I made videos for 15 years. It's all that I know. So I'm one of the fortunate ones. I'm very privileged to have just gone down the video route straight away. I can't write for the life of me. I'm a terrible writer. I'm not the best designer. I just lean into what my strength is, but it's been learned. It's been self-taught for 15 years of doing bad videos and making a lot of mistakes, but having this intrinsic passion and joy that comes out of creating them as well. I really enjoy creating stuff, even though it's about B2B and it's about marketing, it's a bit businessy. I really enjoy almost the goalposts and being confined to a certain topic, because it allows me to get quite creative. I think if I didn't have them, I'd be doing some crazy stuff, but I don't think that would work for the business. So it's quite nice to have like you're confined into a certain parameter for my marketing. So yeah, but video I absolutely love.
I love that. And I know you like one of the things as well I noticed about your content is the script writing is really, really good. Like you spend a lot of time on that. And I think, when you target small businesses, and there's so many different types of people that have joined your community. And yet your content is resonating with such a diverse group of people. Like for myself, I'm like, I will write SaaS content. It needs to relate to this kind of certain type of SaaS. Whereas yours is landing with a lot of different people. And I guess that, how are you managing to do that? Yeah, through script writing and
It's
stuff
a
like
good
that.
question. So the way that I market any of the things I build is not based on surface level demographics, i.e., you're a SaaS founder who does 5 million in revenue and you want to make videos to get more team members. It's based on the emotional problems that people have. I think that is largely more resonant with a broader audience of people. It doesn't confine people into a particular industry or a particular niche. It confines them into an emotional problem that they have. For a lot of people, that will be the feeling of isolation. They run a small business. Regardless of what that business is, they are going to have the same problems of they're doing it on their own. And that's very hard without a team, to be in your head all the time, to kind of get confused and overwhelmed and go around in circles on second guessing your ideas and whether or not you should or shouldn't post this, or am I angling this right? So isolation is a really big one. I think the feeling of imposter syndrome is a big one as well. I don't feel good enough to share my advice online as a small business is a huge problem. And also confusion, tapping into that feeling of, if you are confused and you don't really know what you're doing, then come and join us and we'll figure it out together. Nobody in the community to a degree knows what they're doing. They're all small. They're all figuring it out. We're all scrappy and startup. But we love that. There's a big energy to that. I think being around other people who are on the same boat, on the same mission of trying to figure out their business, and we have this common goal of we're trying to create better videos to market it, I think it's a really powerful thing. So for me, it's more emotional as opposed to rational marketing. I think it taps into more people, and I think it's easier to sell to people when they feel the pain themselves, as opposed to targeting someone in marketing who I'm saying, if you're not getting enough leads and you want to make better videos, then join the club. It's like, cool. I don't feel that problem. My boss wants that, so maybe I run it through my boss. And the ladder you have to go to hierarchically is much longer. So I just like to speak to the person who is in pain, who feels that emotionally. But we don't segment people based on gender, ethnicity, age, business type, revenue model, service, whatever. It's just, do you feel this pain? If so, jump in. That's how we do it. When I say we, I say me. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I think, what was really interesting as well about your community is I joined thinking that, I joined, didn't realize the community benefits. I was like, okay, I'm going to join because there's probably going to be some good courses on what cameras, because my production, like, I don't know production so well. So that was kind of the side. And then I joined, I was like, actually, there's similar people to me in here. We're at the same stage. One of the big barriers that I'd face is I would lose confidence on camera if I went a couple of weeks where I just dropped off, and so then the barrier is then massive, and then I'm like, and then you get that you freeze to post, and that was one of the things was like just lower the bar again, get back in, and then just slowly like just increase the bar. But my point is like the community aspect is one of the big things. So how have you managed to build that? When someone joins, how do you manage to like set the expectations right, get them contributing, and then what are some of like the challenges that you found around that, building that?
No idea. Absolutely no idea.
Ah,
I've winged the whole thing. Well, I say that there's some smart plays there from me, but I think a lot of it is winged to a degree. I run a small business. I'm not going to put a 5-year business plan with where we are now in the economy and how businesses are run. I don't think that's viable unless you want to build a startup and exit 100 million when you've got to have a really firm exit plan. I'm not about that. I'm just about helping people and kind of figuring it out as we go, even to the point that we jump on co-working sessions sometimes and I kind of go, guys, I have a general idea of what I want to through today, but at the same time I don't. So challenge my thinking, and because it's helpful for me as well. I only know so much information. In terms of how I've done it, I think it's, it sounds a little bit waffly, but it's just being genuinely interested in what you do. If I am interested in it and I can share that passion with the world, I'm going to click with a small pool of people that also feel the same. And I think that's the point of a community. It is not to get people in and get their money and train them and, blah, 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 blah. It's to relate to other people. It's to support other people. And I think that, I've been in a lot of communities, especially when I was kind of testing out the idea and just doing a bit of research. There are a lot of communities where you kind of join and you kind of go, hello, is anybody here? Like, am I going to be welcomed in? Am I going to be supported? Where do I start with stuff? Like, this is either so overwhelming or it's so scarce I don't know what to do. For me, as the not the head of the club, but the facilitator that brings people's visions in the community together, I feel it's my role to onboard people properly. So everyone that joins, they have a 30-minute call. We go through process, get to know them a bit more. I take down notes just so I can remember stuff. I steer them in the right direction. I connect with other people. I tell them to join this event and get involved with stuff. But I'm very open with people, saying that you have to get involved and you have to do the work. And no one here is going to do it for you. We're all, in a sense, out for ourselves to a degree. We're all trying to build our own businesses first, put our own oxygen masks on first before we can help other people. So there is an element of accountability that you have signed up for a reason. Don't lose that focus and use that to drive you and be around other people who motivate you to continue. That's the point of the community. If you see other people doing well, the chances are you're going to want to also jump in. Challenges. There's been a lot of them, tons of them. I mean, churn is a big thing in a community. Luckily, we do pretty well. I think the typical churn for a community is anywhere between, I want to say 10 to 15% a month. So if you had 100 people, 10 to 15 people would leave on a monthly way of doing it. I'm very fortunate in terms of I have got it down to about 3 to 4%, if that, which is awesome. We do things slightly differently. So rather than monthly, we do it quarterly. I think that gives people the impression that it's not a 4-week win. It is a bit something they got to dive into and graft at. Because it takes about 3 months for people to settle into stuff. Even yourself, Joseph, before this call, you're saying, I've kind of fallen off the wagon a little bit for the first couple of weeks, and that's totally natural. The problem is, if it was a monthly option, you go, I haven't used it, I'm gonna stop. But it's like you haven't even started. You don't even know the value and the potential that you can have yet. So I try and leave people in for a little bit longer before they can kind of figure it out and help people along the way. Other challenges wise, in-person events are tough as well. I've learned a lot about those. I think also people will share what they want in a community. That doesn't mean they'll actually use it. And that's happened a lot this year in terms of people saying, hey, we want to do a monthly challenge. Awesome. 30 people have said they want to do a monthly challenge. Let's build it out. One person turns up to the live. It's like, do you want it? Or is it like the thought of having it so that when you're free, you might be able to pick and choose between what you want? So I think for me, it's about simplifying everything. When we first started, we had such a strict formulaic way of doing things. It was, we'd do this training camp here, it'd be a 3-week sprint, we'd then do a challenge here, we do a networking thing, this happening this day, this happening, and it was all there's so much happening. I've learned to just simplify everything. You know, you have a space for this. This is where you ask a question. You have a space for feedback. This is where you get feedback. If you want to do co-working, sick. That's only on a Tuesday. So we've really simplified the whole thing, and I think it adds method to the madness. People know the routines of the club, and I think the longer people are here, it becomes habitual, it becomes normalized, it becomes routine. Um, yeah, that's probably. But again, I'm still learning. A year in, it's not a long time at all. You know, I'm here for the next decade. I hope. Touch wood. Um, a year is nothing yet. I'm just getting started, mate. So lots of learning to do.
Love that. Yeah, just some thoughts on what you said. Like before I joined the club, I had no idea. I didn't know you really, so I joined because you were an expert. Um, but I think since I've joined, I know that everything you've just said is to be true. Like you genuinely really care. You're completely straight about how content is just a long term thing, which ties into the quarterly. You've been like, if and I think the other thing you mentioned as well is like having that really strict thing at the start. We're going to do all these sprints, and it's like in sales, isn't it, where you go up to someone and say, this is my pitch, and actually sometimes you just need to sit back and go, what problem do you actually have, and then just like asking why, and then actually it might be different to your pitch sort of thing. And it's almost like all the feedback in a community that you give is very, very tailored, and that is one of the awesome things, and then everyone follows suit from that. Like you get advice from other people, and it's structured in the same way. You're big on context. Yeah, so I'm not surprised churn is low, mate. But so moving on to like let's talk. Yeah, let's talk about what skill level um is perfect for someone to join, or can it be all sorts of levels? And then what like is the typical journey that you can put them through in terms of these are kind of the quick wins, these are kind of the medium wins, and then the long term stuff.
Yeah, so quick ways for people to join. I mean, anyone can jump in at any time. So I don't gate it. I don't believe in those scarcity tactics. You either want to join or you don't. You know, and I want people that want to join, not pressured to join, and they go, "Oh, there's only 20 spaces this month. I've got to get in." Do you want to make better videos? No, well, don't join. I'm not going to be able to help you. Do you want to make better videos? Yeah, I do. Well, jump in. It really is as easy as that. So I leave the gates open, and I think that helps to qualify the right people who are genuinely interested in taking their marketing and also their business serious. Because I say it's video, but when you dive into the community, it's much more about how do you build a small business. You know, there's a lot on that: sales, funnels, messaging, how to master DM, sales navigating on LinkedIn, how to get qualified leads. Video is the way that I market the business. But you know, even if you create an amazing video, but your offer and your product and your business is not watertight, it won't work. So you need to, but they kind of come in tandem, you know. The sexy stuff is video. No one wants to master their messaging. That's really boring. But you need to do that to be able to make a video that then gets you leads. So there's a bit of things here. In terms of how we get people involved in like short, mid, long term, how do we do that? I don't know. I'm not sure really. It's very much a choose your own adventure style space. You know, you would, for example, I'll ask you. So let me ask you a question, Joseph. Why did you join the club?
Yeah. I think the reasons changed. I joined the club because I wanted to be able to put some of my own videos out that I could edit myself, and I think I just knew how to like trim in Premiere Pro, do some basic stuff, add like an intro and an outro, add some captions, and that was it. And it was like I probably need to polish it up. And then as I joined the group, I realized, okay, I need to write scripts is actually the main weakness. And then I've kind of gone back to kind of my default, which is perfection mindset and stopping, and then like kind of watching you guys and be like, no, 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 like lower the bar. So it's kind of just been all of these different. And I think another thing is the who as well. I wasn't. It comes back to something you said earlier on the call, which was, not targeting surface level, actually getting into the psychographics, getting into kind of the deeper pain points, deeper problems, deeper motivations. And while I haven't like nailed it yet, all of this stuff has come to light, which I didn't really realize before. So I'm kind of just thinking all of that through.
Yeah, it's great.
Um, so yeah, the reason I'm in the group now is different from the reason I joined. There's a
And
lot
that
there.
is why I don't have a process for short, mid, or long term strategy because you change so much. And the beauty of this community is that It is not a course. It is not a, you do this and in 30 days you're going to have a six-figure business. I don't believe from my own lived experience that that type of course or training or coaching works. I think you need to give people the room to breathe a bit, to see what other people are doing who are on the same mission, and kind of find their own route. And the thing is, you're an adult, right? You're not going to go, oh yeah, I'm going to pay whatever it was that you paid, I can't remember, and I'm going to spend money, and I'm going to go into a community and go, what do I do? You're conscious. You're gonna have a general idea of what you want to get out of it, right? So when you start to do from an editing perspective, you're probably gonna go, right, I want to learn how to make some stuff in Adobe, or I'm gonna start to see if they've got any editing tools. You wouldn't join wanting to learn how to edit and go, oh, I'm going to master my design. It's like what are you doing? So you're an adult, you know what you're doing. I'm not here to baby you and steer you in the right direction because everybody is so different. Everyone has the same emotional problems, i.e., I don't feel professional. I am not making time. I know it's a priority, so I feel a little bit, deflated in myself. I want to be around people that don't feel isolating around a small business. Everyone has the same pain. The solutions are very varied. They're very varied. And I think there's something in the club now that helps to a degree with everything, but it's not specific in terms of if you're Joseph or if you're this person who runs this SaaS company and you need to achieve this outcome, do this. It's very much here's my ideas. Here's what I have done for myself. Here's what I've done for my clients. This is what worked for them. But don't take it as verbatim. Just listen to the words that I say. Try and find the good stuff. Remove the bad stuff and apply that to your business in your own way. And we will help you to do that through doing the thing and getting better over time. That's how I've always done it. And I think that is also why the churn is so low. Because people from day one understand that this is not a short-term thing. I've battled with myself in terms of I could get more sales and I could get loads of new people in by saying I've got a community that in 90 days is going to teach you to build a six-figure business using this framework. It sounds sexy and it's like that quick win snake oil sort of salesman type of approach. I don't click with that at all. I just think you run a business, you know that business takes years to be able to master. And now you can do it around other people who are also trying to do the same stuff. There's real motivation to that. That's what I'm trying to build. It's not a quick win, suddenly we're 1,000 members and I'm raking it in. It's not about that at all. It's about genuinely helping people who have an interest in growing their business and also want to have fun along the way. Running a business is isolating and it's hard. Having a creative output, having something you're passionate about that you really want to do, I think it just adds a bit of fun to sometimes being in the trenches for too long. You can get covered in mud and it will blur your vision a little bit. I think sometimes it's just nice to put a bit of sprinkles and stuff and have a bit of fun with it as well.
Awesome. I love that. And a lot of people can feel like the production. I know you probably don't want to spend too much time on production because you're not just about that. It's like just want to make it clear there's a lot more to it. But some people feel like that's a barrier. So are there what would you recommend someone who's just like starting out, what sort of kit to get and what sort of editing software? And then maybe someone that's a bit more intermediate, like mid-level budget, and then obviously for the bigger stuff. What would you kind of recommend?
Best camera is the one that you have with you. Start with your phone. People will buy kit as a way to hold off on doing the thing, I found. So a lot of people don't want to get started until they've got the camera, until they've got the nice backdrop and the nice lighting and the expensive camera and the nice mic. The problem is that isn't fixing the problem. The problem that you have, or most people probably listening now, is you're not doing it. That's it. So remove that barrier, do the thing you want to get better at, and invest back into the whole thing as you start to progress. As you start to realize that the videos that you're making on your phone are starting to limit you in terms of what you want to be able to do, then get a light, get a different microphone. If you've made 50 videos and suddenly you realize, oh, my audio sounds a bit crap, then spend some money on making it better. Don't get everything first. Just invest as you go through the motions. The most important thing that you can do is just learn through experience of doing the thing. Again, it's like driving a car. You've got to learn and you've got to get some miles in to understand how to do motorway driving, how to be more aware of people around you. You only know that when you've had a few knocks or a few bangs because you weren't paying attention to the thing. You don't start driving in a dream car in your Ferrari and go, I've got everything figured out. You'll work towards that over time, So it's about the journey, not so much the destination. I think very cheesy little thing there, but do the thing. Do the thing. Stop investing in kit. Stop spending thousands and thousands of pounds on stuff you don't need. All you need to do right now is get off your backside, film some videos, and learn what you're not good at, and learn what you are good at. That's basically it.
Love that. Brilliant. And in terms of like, are there any transformations or like people, stories of people in the community that you want to share? Any wins that stand out?
Not so much. I mean, it speaks for itself. Check out the site. There's tons of stuff there. I don't want to fill your podcast with a big promo for the club. I'm here to help other people, right? But I think speak to anybody that's in it, and they'll hopefully be positive about it. That's what I'd say.
Awesome. Cool. So in terms of, could you talk through like your process on like a weekly basis? Like how many videos are you making for yourself? Because it's like that's the process that other people and small business owners are going to follow. So how many videos are you making? How have you worked that number out? And then what is the steps? What are the steps that you're taking to hit publish on LinkedIn?
It's a great question because this is super helpful. So again, I want to caveat before I do say this. What I say is not verbatim. It is not truth. This is what works for me and me alone. My brain works very differently to other people. My business model is very different. The way that I approach content is very different to a lot of people. Again, take the good stuff, remove the bad stuff, and apply it to your own way of working. Right. Um, Taking a step back, the problem that a lot of people have with creating videos is they do not treat it as a priority. They will try to balance it amongst their week, or they will invest into it when things are quiet. The problem with that is you're never integrating it into a rhythm that is normal. So, for example, in the early days of the club, people joined when they had a quiet spell. Maybe it was summer, work was quite quiet, or it was coming up to Christmas. They had some time finally to dive into learning how to do it. Problem is, when business kicks back up and people are making decisions and you're working on projects and you're flooded because you've got no hours in the day, it falls to the bottom of the pile because you haven't learned to integrate it into the normal rhythm of your business. So it's not about trying to find the time or I'm struggling to balance it. It's about integrating it into your life. Okay, there's a difference between balance and integration. I think a lot of people talk about work-life balance. I talk about work-life integration. I don't believe in balance. I think in business, you have to make sacrifices if you want to do well. Sometimes at detriment to family, in terms of if you've got loads of sales to do, you need to grind your ass off and you need to say, sorry guys, I'm not going to be home at 5 p.m. tonight. I'm going to have to stay at the office till 7 or 8 because I need to grind out some stuff. You sacrifice the short-term family side of things for the long-term benefit of the business. So I believe that you have to integrate what you want in your life. How I do that personally is down to structure and down to systems. So it's down to the first Monday of every week is purely a creative day. And it's not me sitting on my ass going, oh, I'm going to draw some pretty pictures. It is how I perceive my business development. If I'm not thinking of ideas and creating content to market my business, I'm not going to attract customers. I'm not going to start conversations. Those conversations won't go into conversions and actually get customers into my business. So for me, if I miss that Monday, which is my video time, it's my idea time, my scripting time, editing time, etc., I do not get leads. Fact. There's no matter how many conversations I can have or how many comments I can reply to someone's post on LinkedIn or whatever. If I don't create stuff that stands out, I do not get customers. So for me, it's such an integral, integrated part of my life that for me is now just routine. To the point that in my diary for I think the next year, every Monday is just creative. It's just blocked out marketing, do the thing. I don't take calls on that day. I don't do meetings. I don't even jump into the club massively. And the guys know that as well. I'm just on my own stuff, you know. I track things quarterly as well. So I don't look at things in the micro, I look at things in the macro. I don't judge things by how this week's gone. I judge it by how has this quarter done. Has it been a slight improvement from the last quarter? I think that helps to set realistic expectations and also get yourself out of that very reactive mindset. I think a lot of people post a video, put a lot of time into it and go, oh, it hasn't worked, I'm going to stop. It's like, well, do that for 3 months. If it's still not working in 90 days' time, then maybe you need to tweak your approach a little bit. So again, it's just down to mindset more than anything, having that discipline, that mental resilience to know that it's not the short term that matters, it's the longer term, especially if you're building a business that is, you know, you're planning to run the next 5-10 years. What's happened this week is almost irrelevant. It doesn't really matter. What's happened in the next year probably matters quite substantially. So change your outlook on what is and what isn't successful in that period of time. But it's all down to systems, mate. It's every Monday is a creative time. I don't judge things in the micro, I judge things in the macro. I manage everything on Notion, which is free. If you are a solopreneur doing it for yourself, you can just get a free account. You just write little notes on the side of things. But I know when things are going out. I know what I'm working on. At any given stage, I'm probably working on 5 to 10 different videos at a time. I've got a couple with my editors now. I think there's 4 videos with them at the moment. I'm also then working on the next ones. It's like this conveyor belt system that I teach in the club. Super simple in theory. In practice, it's a little bit harder. But it just comes down to how much do you value the thing you want to get better at. Again, I'm going to use the analogy of driving a car. If you want to get better at driving, you've got to go and drive. It just doesn't work if you just have a nice car in your driveway. You're not going to be able to learn to drive it better. You have to make the time to improve. Like going to a gym. You can pay for a gym membership. That's not going to get you buff. It's like we said at the start. If you go to the gym and you work hard and you sweat it out, and then you come home and you do more good stuff that attributes to that, you eat healthy foods, you're conscious of your macros, chances are you're going to be huge. You're going to be well fit, you're going to be good, you're going to be mentally strong. You don't just get better by buying the thing and then hoping that it works out. You have to do the work to go and do it. So it's a lot of work, but it is an absolute non-negotiable thing that I do. And it's not because, I've got an easier week or I don't do as many calls. It's just because that is what I value so much, because it helps to grow my business. So try to integrate the thing into your life. People will spend hours doing things that don't contribute. I call them busy, productive idiots. They are busy doing the wrong stuff. Look at your week. Look at where you are spending time on sales or copywriting or doing LinkedIn stuff or making YouTube content, and just see where are the gaps that you could start to overlay content creation onto, or just try and segregate your days down. Mondays for creative stuff, Tuesdays for sales, Wednesdays for copy, whatever it is. That's sort of how my brain works. I hope that helps.
Yeah, that's really useful. I think the integration is really good. It's like, how can you make it sustainable rather than how can you, smash it for 2 months and then fall off.
That's it. Well, it's a long process, mate. Creating videos. I mean, really, what you do now in terms of marketing will come to fruition in 3 to 6 months' time. So if this is going out in October, you will see your marketing be fruitful in Q1, Q2 of 2026. That is how long it takes. Problem is, so many people are so short-minded and they just think, oh, we need leads now. It's like, well, you should have grafted hard 6 months ago to get the leads and continued to graft hard. It's not something that you can just do for a stint, get lots of leads and then stop. You have to do the thing all the time. Otherwise you end up going in feast and famine and dips and high cycles. You stop marketing when you're busy, and when you're quiet, you start marketing, then suddenly you're really busy because you do marketing. It is just this horrible feast and famine. To get out of that, make it a non-negotiable to once a week, create something great. I can guarantee you, categorically speaking, that will grow your business. It really is as simple as that. And the problem is, so many people try to add such complex structures to their week and to their life to solve what they think is actually quite a complicated issue. It's not. It's just that you aren't doing enough marketing, or the marketing you are doing enough of is not good enough. So make it better. I know that sounds quite blunt, but that is in most cases the scenario. It's that you're probably posting regularly, so you've got the cadence down to things, you've got the frequency down to things, but the content you are posting is not good. If it's not good, make it better. How do you make it better? Learn, do the thing more, practice. It really is just that, but it takes a long time.
Yeah, I know you did I think you did a video recently. It might be a couple of weeks ago, but it appeared on my feed recently, which was you talk a lot. You talking about consistent, like, oh, you just got to be consistent and be authentic, and you're kind of taking the mick out of that. And before joining, do you know what, it's funny because we did a bunch of videos for some tech companies, and when we did that, we're like, the quality is going to be up there. So it was like we knew where the bar was, and it is going to go above that. But when it came to doing my own stuff, I was so absorbed in this consistency kind of. I don't want to drop the name, but we all know who they are. That when kind of join your community, it's like, actually just make one really amazing video a week, and I think that's the thing that I'm really focusing on now. But I think that's a big message you kind of preach, which is important as well.
You do less stuff, but make the stuff that you do high quality. That is honestly, so my whole thing with business, because I've kind of been there. I built a small business of 10 people. It's not the biggest business in the world. Like, it's a nice small local business. I did pretty well for myself. But the principles of running a business and growing a business are the same no matter what size. It's just do a few things and be the best person at doing them things. Those things, not them things. If you're posting 3 times a day and you're managing 5 or 6 different platforms, how on earth are you going to do any of those great? Unless you have the team and the resources and the budget to be able to throw at that stuff and master them, i.e. if you're Alex Hormozy, if you're Gary Vaynerchuk and you've got a team of 50 people doing your content, fine, okay, go completely like internationally focused on social and do lots of different platforms and all the rest of it. But for most of us, we only need 5 clients, 10 clients, and we're at capacity, we can't breathe, we're full. So you don't need the scale that the big influencers have or the big creators have, because they run huge companies. Tesla, they've got to sell I don't know, a couple of 100,000 cars a year to probably break even. You, as a small business that's maybe a service-based B2B, you maybe need five retainers, and you're laughing, you know? So you don't need as much as other people do. And I think that's really important to just consider what works for them, and their marketing is not a reflection of what you need to do as truth. You need to take the positives, remove the negatives, remove the cadence to things, and apply that and implement to your own business. Problem is, so many people don't do that. They take the truth from what this creator says to follow this framework and to do this every day. But the problem is, if you look at their business, it's because they have 10,000 members and they only charge £10, so it makes sense for them to get lots of new clients. For you, if you're charging 50 grand for a service, you don't need that many clients to be really happy, you know? So I think just being mindful of that as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. And one of the things actually I'd like to ask you about is, if you've got your ICP, your avatar, your offer nailed, because one thing I've noticed about doing outreach, for example, is when you're offering something that isn't the right offer, you can have all the best copyright and all the best sequences, the best relationship building in the world, and you're just gonna like build relationships and it's not gonna go anywhere. Whereas you can have an amazing offer, pretty average copy, pretty average stuff, and you will get sales from it. So like obviously that comes from positioning offer. So what would you say to people like members that are in the group that they haven't got that right? Should they be spending a bunch of time making content, or you know, because how can they get their messaging right to then for the videos to start working?
I think you've got to have the foundations set. Thing with video is it will only work as hard as you have made it work. Even if you create the best video in the world, if your foundations are not in concrete, they will blow over in the wind. So the thing is, if you've got a great offer, you've got a great message, you've got a great product, you've got a proven XYZ, and you've kind of got content that's all right, it will probably work harder because people aren't stupid. People will do their own due diligence. They'll do their own research. They will take of that what they will, and they'll go, cool. They maybe just getting started, but their product's proven. I've seen people who go through it and are really positive. I'm going to buy the thing. I've known people that have done tons and tons of money from not even having a website in place before because their offer is so convincing that people go, well, I'm going to purchase. Problem is, if your marketing is amazing, it's like, right, the way that I would analogy this is, imagine you're just launching a clothes shop, right? And your marketing is amazing. It is the best marketing on the planet. So you lead people to the front of your store, but inside there's nothing on offer. You know, everything's been rinsed. The shelves are dry. There's nothing to purchase. You can't make any money because your offer and your product is not good, you know? If you had an amazing offer, even if you just put a couple of ads out and you had a couple of people walk in, they're going to buy. The chances of the percentage of them converting into customers is going to be higher. So the quality of how everything works is much more significant. So you've got to get the foundations right. You've got to get your messaging right. I can't tell you because it's so specific. I don't know who I'm talking to here, right? But there's levels of cadence to that and specificity there. But broadly speaking, you need to work on your messaging. You need to work on your offer. You need to perfect your product. You need to have a proven outcome and transformation, show, don't tell, etc. And then when you feel like you've got everything there, which does take years, again, then your marketing will start to work harder for you. What I'm not saying here is don't spend years making an offer and doing no marketing. Build the story. Start to market the product now. Tell the story of how it's changing. Tell the trials, the tribulations, the warts, and all the challenges that you go through, because that starts to build, as a smaller business, a lot of rapport and a lot of trust. And you need to build familiarity with yourself through the content you create. I wouldn't spend 3 years building a product to then announce it on the day that you launch it. That's an absolutely stupid tactic, and because you haven't built brand at all, you haven't built brand. So you need to balance, integrate. You need to integrate the both of them. You need to work on your offer whilst you're also working on your marketing. You can't do the two in tandem. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, it's really interesting. And this comes back to the group isn't just about video content, it's about messaging, it's about funnel, it's about business. And I think these are a lot of the other benefits. But just wrapping up then, is there if someone is watching, a small business owner, and they're kind of on the fence, that they're already bought into content, what should they do? Should they reach out to you? Where should they go next?
I wouldn't reach out to me yet. I would post your first 10 videos on your phone. Then when you've got a bit of information under your belt, then drop me a message. That's what I'd say. I can't help you if you haven't created a video. I'm not a mindset coach. Yes, it is isolating, and yes, you're going to have challenges, but I think you need to have made your first piece of the puzzle to understand where you need to improve. There is no point during the community saying, hey, Jack, I've heard that video is really good and I want to make it. And I kind of go, cool, where do you want to go? And you go, I don't know. I can't help you because there's not a problem to solve there. All I'm solving is that you want to make a video. Well, then film a video on your phone. Don't pay me money, go and film one. So I think, yeah, do those first. I think once you feel a little bit stuck or you start to get confused with it all, it's not working, that's where I then come in. Google me, YouTube, whatever, LinkedIn, website. You'll be able to, you're all adults, guys. You'll be able to find it. You'll be fine.
Oh, Jack, it's been awesome today. Is there anything that we've not talked about that you wanna have a chat about?
Really, man, I think it's just part and words would be just things take longer than you think they do. You've got to look at the macro, not the micro of things. What works today will not work tomorrow. So you've always got to adapt and you've always got to innovate. And I just don't see the point of perfecting something to the point that it's ready to go and absolutely there's nothing else that can change. Because by the time you've done that, it won't work. Something else will be there that is new, that is hot, that is trendy, that you've got to jump on. So I think it's important to have your ears to the ground, to always be doing the thing, even if it's not the best thing in the world. Start scrappy, and over time you will become better. As you become better, that will help to get more leads. As you get more leads, that will help to get more clients into business. And in 5 and 10 years' time, when you've put a lot of work in and you've been in the trenches and you feel like you need a break, chances are you would have built one hell of a business. But that is, in my opinion, what it takes to do well. You've just got to give it a whole lot of time, and too many people don't give it long enough.
Yeah, I love it. And I love that you're just straight with everyone. You've got a long-term mindset. You believe in it's like Kaizen, like those little 1% improvements every single day, every single week, and that they just stack up and it takes time. So I love that. And I think, yeah, I think that's why you're keeping people and it's a great community you've built. So yeah, I'm really looking
Yeah.
forward to kind of watching your journey, Jack. And I'll put all the links if anyone's interested in if anyone's bought into content, they're already making videos, they wanna find out more, then obviously I'll put Jack's linked in the description. But yeah, Jack, thank you very much.
Oh, yeah. Thanks so much.